You think you could take me? Let's see what you got.
What would you do if everyone in the room doubted you? If every whisper, every smirk, every insult was aimed at you because they thought you were weak? Some people break. Others stay silent. But then, there are the rare few who rise, and when they rise, they shock the world. The sun burned over Camp Pendleton as recruits jogged in perfect formation, boots pounding against dirt, chants echoing in rhythm. Among the sea of shaved heads and hardened faces was a single figure who stood out, not because she wanted to, but because she had no choice. Her name was Elena Ramirez. At 23, Elena carried herself with quiet dignity. She had enlisted to honor her late father, a decorated Marine who had fallen in combat years ago. She walked into training with determination carved into her soul, but it didn't take long for the others to notice what they saw as weakness. She wasn't as tall as the men. She didn't shout as loud during drills. She wasn't the fastest runner. And in the brutal world of Marine training, that was enough to earn labels. Weak link, one of the recruits muttered during push-ups. She's slowing us down, another whispered during the obstacle course. And then came the day of the sparring drills. In the middle of the gym, under the fluorescent lights, recruits paired off for hand-to-hand combat. Elena tied her gloves, her heart pounding as she heard the snickers. Across from her stood Corporal Hanks, a towering man built like a tank, chosen to test her limits. Everyone in the room leaned in, ready for a show. The fight began. Hanks swung aggressively, his punches wild but heavy. Elena blocked, dodged, felt her arms ache with every impact. She went down once, scrambled up, went down again. The crowd laughed. Too weak, someone said. She's not cut out for this. But what no one noticed was the fire in her eyes each time she stood back up. Elena refused to quit. By the end of the round, her nose was bleeding, her ribs sore, and her pride bruised. She sat alone in the locker room afterward, staring at her reflection in the cracked mirror. The words of her father echoed in her memory, strength isn't measured by how hard you hit, Mija. It's measured by how many times you rise after being knocked down. That night, while the others slept, Elena ran the track under the moonlight. She trained in silence, pushing her body to the limit. She lifted, she sparred with shadows, she learned. Every insult became fuel. Every bruise became armor. And slowly, the girl they called weak was shaping into something none of them were prepared for. 2 months into training, the commander announced a surprise exercise, a live combat demonstration. You'll fight until you can't stand anymore, he said. Today, we see who has real grit. The recruits buzzed with excitement. Names were called, and one by one, fighters stepped into the ring. The stronger men showed off, knocking out their opponents with ease. Laughter and cheers filled the gym. Then the commander's voice boomed, Ramirez. Step up. Elena took a deep breath, her gloves tight, her heart steady. Across the ring stood not one opponent, but 5. 5 volunteers, all of them Marines who had laughed at her since day one. The commander's smirk told her everything, this was the ultimate test. Show us what you've got, Ramirez, he barked. The first Marine lunged, confident he'd end it in seconds. Elena ducked, sidestepped, and with a sharp pivot, delivered a strike to his jaw that sent him sprawling. Gasps echoed. The second came in harder. She blocked his jab, swept his legs, and slammed him into the mat with a move she'd practiced under the stars for weeks. The room fell silent. Then the third and fourth attacked together, trying to overwhelm her. Elena's movements were sharp, precise, every strike fueled by the countless nights she had bled and sweat in the dark. Within moments, both were down, groaning, clutching their sides. Only one remained, Hanks. The same man who had once mocked her in sparring. He snarled, charging with brute force. Elena met him head-on. He swung, she ducked. He lunged, she countered. And with one clean uppercut, she dropped him flat on his back. The silence in the gym was deafening. 5 Marines. Knocked out. By the girl they called weak. The commander's smirk faded into something else, respect. He nodded once, quietly. The recruits who had laughed at her now stared with wide eyes, some even applauding reluctantly. Elena stood in the center of the ring, chest heaving, gloves trembling, but her gaze was steady. She hadn't fought for revenge. She hadn't fought to humiliate. She had fought to prove something, to herself, to her father's memory, to everyone watching. That strength doesn't come from size. Or from noise. Or from pride. Strength comes from resilience. From standing back up every time you're knocked down. From believing in yourself when no one else does. As she left the ring, whispers followed her, not of mockery, but of awe. And for the first time since stepping into camp, Elena Ramirez was no longer invisible. She was unstoppable.